Good morning, guys. It's another lovely Saturday morning, and Jenny and I are here, and we're going to be doing these talks on a more regular basis now. So today, we actually wanted to bring up a topic that has been quite trendy lately. So it's the topic on clean eating. And the reason we're bringing this up is because as part of this industry, we have this responsibility towards all of you guys to be able to educate you on how to be healthy, but at the same time, how to find that balance so that you're not going to any extremes within that. And what's been happening with the clean eating movement is it started, I believe, a few years, like the modern twist on it started a few years ago, around 2007. But since the movement started, there has been a lot more. It started with a good intention, probably, as in to promote more whole foods, more fruits and vegetables. But it started slowly moving to a very restrictive movement. So it started moving to juice cleanses. It started promoting more gluten-free foods to people that necessarily don't need gluten-free foods. It was promoting the all natural, which is a term that we can debate about, I guess, and promoting all organic and non-GMO. And with that, a lot of people started moving away from the whole foods and actually focusing on eating less of that, but because they were scared not to eat foods that are not organic or that are not gluten-free. So I think it's sort of backfired.
Yeah, I think there was also a huge, huge guilt associated with not eating clean all the time. And even us coming out of school, we had this theory that everything that we put into our mouths had to be whole, clean, organic, all of the above. And sometimes when you don't eat that way, it makes you feel like you're doing something very wrong. And that was kind of what happened with this clean eating movement. It turned less into, getting away from processed foods and getting away from toxic ingredients and moved more into this whole diet mindset shift. And we're even guilty of using the term clean eating just because that's what we thought. We thought, if people can look at food less about processed and high processed sugar, refined sugar, and more at whole foods, then they'd be better off. But we never wanted to associate guilt with it. So I guess that's why we're here today to talk about this a little bit. Yeah.
So we're going to stop using the term clean eating. I hope it doesn't come out by mistake, because it's a term, I think, because it's been thrown off so much that sometimes it just comes out naturally. But the way I've looked at it, and I know, Jenny, the way you've looked at it, is always as still that kind of balance, not a restrictive way. It's just looking at having more fruits and vegetables, less processed foods. And processed is even probably a word that we can debate, because a lot of the healthy foods can even be processed to some degree.
Yes. Like oil's processed. It's taken from a whole food form and pressed into what you get and what you cook with. And we would never say to you, don't cook with oil, because, it's hard. It's a hard thing to do, and most people don't do that. For us, I think it's now turning into why we don't want to say clean eating, because we don't want you, as our followers, to ever think that if you aren't eating something that's not 100% whole food, then there's guilt. Because we don't think that that's what life should be about. We think that it should be about balance and taking the one with the other. So yeah,
So within that, we can probably go in how it can turn dangerous, which is one of the things you mentioned, is for a lot of people, just the fear of eating something that is, for example, non-organic. So if we look at, there's these two great lists, which I think we even have on our site, that are by the Environmental Working Group, and they're the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. So they come up with this list of fruits and vegetables that have the most pesticides used, and they call them, like, the Clean 15 is the one you don't need to buy organic, and the Dirty Dozen is the ones that they recommend buying organic. But within that clean eating movement, if you're looking at a Dirty Dozen, which is like dirty, so within that you might think, okay, if apples are the first item on the list and they have the most pesticides, then I shouldn't be having an apple. And if I cannot buy it organic, and that's not true at all. I mean, if you can't buy organic's
expensive.
It's expensive, and it's totally okay. Like, if you can't buy it, you're still going to get the nutrients from a regular apple, and it's still going to be much better for you than not eating it at all. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, and it also brings us back to the point of food being good or bad. And when you say something is good or something is bad, then you're automatically putting it into this category of, if you eat it and it's bad, then I'm bad for eating it, right? So that's where the guilt comes in. And I think we should still kind of refer to the Clean 15 and Dirty Dozen just in the sense of what's in season, what can we buy, like, are any of these Clean 15 fruits and vegetables on sale right now? Can I find these at my local farmer's market, which might, they might have different cultivating practices, so that, you're not getting a strawberry from California that's mass produced and sprayed because they have to meet yields. Like Driscoll's, for example, those California strawberries, they're so massive because of the way that they're grown, right? In Ontario, if they're in season and you're getting this nice fresh fruit,
and they smell amazing.
Yeah, and it's on that Dirty Dozen list, it might not necessarily be something that you should avoid because of where you're getting it, the time of season you're getting it, all of the above factors. So
I think the country of origin matters as well.
For sure. And I think the brand matters as well, because something like PC Organics, great, they're using organic food, but they have to meet such a large yield that sometimes you have to wonder the quality of standards, rather than going to your local farmer's market and just picking out something and supporting local and getting something fresh that has been picked. Yeah, so I think that's where the association of bad and clean and dirty and all of these, you just kind of have to take it with a grain of salt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And another aspect within that is, when you're trying to eat clean 100% of the time, you can't even go out and have some fun. So you can't go out and enjoy a meal because you're constantly thinking, okay, does this have gluten, or does this have sugar, or does this have whatever? And it takes out all the food enjoyment aspect of it. I think it even creates stress within your body, which is probably worse for you than not having that. So if you're constantly stressed about what you're going to eat, when you go out, if you're ignoring your friends or just saying no to not going out, unless, of course, you have any food sensitivities or any issues like allergies or something that's completely different.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, when this clean eating movement started, well, not started, but when it started becoming very popular, I think there was maybe a jump in people who wanted to study nutrition, which is good. But at the same time, it was breeding grounds for another type of eating disorder, which I don't know if any of you guys out there know what orthorexia is, but it is essentially the eating disorder that came from eating clean all the time. So people started avoiding foods, people who were developing this eating disorder, avoiding foods that weren't 100% clean all the time, and it became an obsessive compulsive thing. And even us getting out of school, I think our mind was still kind of in this, like, you can't have anything bad for you, which just isn't the case. And that's about food enjoyment as well. Like, you have to, I mean, the chemicals that are released when you eat food in your brain are pleasure chemicals, right? So to just not enjoy food, it goes kind of against our nature.
Yeah.
But you can't be too extreme with it and enjoy it all, because if we just lived our lives enjoying everything all the time, then, you know, you got to put a little bit of like work into things. But and another point about that is the superiority that's attached with the clean eating concept, is that it's like, I am a better person for eating clean, and I'm a bad person for eating, you know, a lot of processed foods. And that's not the case. And we can't think that way, or else that's where our mind's always stuck, and it's not a positive thing.
Yeah. And that thought, like, that you can't eat healthy unless you're eating clean, which is whatever is defined by like the trends at the time, like the social trends. I think that's another big aspect, all this social media that has helped with the spread of all like this movement, and people thinking that if you're posting a kale salad as a nutritionist, that's all you eat every day. Yeah. Every single day. And obviously it's not. We like our kale and we like our burgers.
We like it all.
Yeah, we like it all.
Yeah. And
this one with like, you can't eat healthy unless you're eating clean, or that something, just because something is organic or something is gluten-free, that doesn't mean that it's good for you necessarily. And they did sort of like an experiment at Cornell University some time ago, and they just gathered some people and they gave them the exact same product, which was all organic, but then they told them that some of the food, it was, I think, yogurt and something else that they gave them, and they told them one is organic and one is regular, and people had the perception that the organic was more nutritious, that it was healthier, it had less sugar, and they would pay generally more for it, but that's not necessarily the case. Like, you can buy gluten-free, ultra-processed cookies, and sometimes you're better off just having the regular cookies than having that, or organic. So those labels don't necessarily mean healthy. But
and health is also, when you get into that world, it can become very expensive. So you have to also learn how to balance it all with your budget, which is something I've been doing lately, because we've been budgeting with our food, and it's not that hard to balance between the two worlds. And you don't have to go organic, and you don't have to go, you know, like, you don't have to buy really expensive goji berries or hemp seeds or chia seeds or whatever is like so costly to have better health, right? It can come from whatever you feel best with when you eat. Yeah.
Totally. And I think the last point on this is always to remember that everybody's different. So whatever might be good for one person. So if somebody's promoting a diet to you, whether it's paleo or keto or gluten-free or all organic or don't eat this, don't eat that, you always have to remember that, yes, it may have worked for some people. Like, we're not saying that gluten-free diets or keto or whatever might not work for some person, or that some person may be sensitive to a certain ingredient in food, so they have to buy something, but we're all different. So whatever's worked for one person may not necessarily work for you. So always take everything you read out there, as you said, with a grain of salt, and make sure you research properly on these things. And I think if anybody's consistently promoting one way as the way for everybody, I would probably completely discredit that. Because
it kind of brings us to our next point, which is, out of all of that information, how should we be eating? And the Naughty Nutritionists, our theory, well, not our theory, what we know from studying nutrition is that it's always better to eat more fruits and vegetables, more whole grains, healthy fats, adequate protein, more plant-based protein as opposed to too much animal. But we're not saying that you can't have animal protein in your diet. We're not vegetarians. We're not vegans. We do eat meat. We like to locally source our meat or buy just more humane meats, and that's our personal thing. But like we said, if it's not in your budget, then you got to do what you got to do. And there's always room for burgers and pizza and pasta and chocolate and wine and all the things that we say we love and we promote to eat. Tacos. You can't live your life without tacos. You can have them from a restaurant, but you can also learn how to cook them at home, making them a healthier way.
And it's important to have variety within that. I've been thinking, actually, lately, like some veggies have been completely discredited because we're always talking about some hot ones. And I realized when my parents were around, I'm like, wow, I never buy this anymore because I don't know, like it's like carrots I buy, but like peas, I haven't been buying peas, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be doing some more pea dishes.
Yeah, peas are great. They're really high in protein. We have peas all the time because toddlers tend to love peas. They're like finger foods.
So variety is important with everything. So have your fruits and veggies, have a variety there in your diet. Enjoy your burgers, pizzas, whatever is out.
And balance the good with the bad.
And no guilt.
Yeah, no guilt.
Anyway, I don't know if anybody has any questions because I see we have some people live. So if you have any questions, type them in. We can answer them now, or if you type them later, we'll just answer later on. And that's it from us today. And if you want to know more about our approach on food and how we look at food, as well as some awesome tips and secrets, our naughty secrets to never be dieting again, you can download the 10 naughty secrets. That's going to be posted above and below this video. That's it from us. Have an amazing day. What are you up to, Jenny?
Oh, we have a barbecue today. So hopefully it's a little bit cloudy, but hopefully the sun comes out.
It's sunny here. So
bring some of that this way.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm also heading out for a day out. Have an awesome Saturday, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.